All right, if you're researching North Carolina, you've probably already seen the highlight reel. The mountains, the lakes, the beach weekends, the lower cost of living, and the friendlier pace. And yes, it's all true. But if you're seriously thinking about relocating or retiring here, you need the full picture because it's not perfect and no place is. The people who end up happiest are the ones who understand both pros and cons before they move. So today we're going to talk through the downsides of North Carolina, the ones we hear most often from people who move here from other states, and the ones that may sometimes surprise you. So let's get into it. Guys, first up on our list of cons, because for a lot of people, the financial benefits of moving to North Carolina is a big incentive. So we want to talk about the fact that North Carolina has property taxes like many other states, and we also have income tax, which may affect you if you're still working. Now, this is one of the cons, even though statistically on average, our taxes are far less than most. So again, in so many of our videos, we talk about it really depends on what area that you move to as far as your property tax rate. Again, statistically, statewide, it's gonna probably be lower than what you're used to. But this is something to consider if you're making a move to North Carolina, that we do have property taxes, and it varies by county and by state, because you could be 15 minutes one way and have a higher tax bill than 15 minutes the other way. So that's just something to bear in mind. A lot of folks retiring, so income tax may not be as big of a deal to you. And also veterans, they actually get a tax benefit of property taxes. So I think it's up to $75,000 worth of property value. North Carolina is exempt. So, and a lot of states have that. So comment below, depending on what state you're coming from, if the move to North Carolina looks like it saves you money or costs you money. Because again, this could be a big pro for some, but for some of you moving from states that have no income tax or very, very minimal property taxes, it could be a con because we do have those type of taxes here.
Yeah, especially moving, just keep in mind, if you're moving to Raleigh, to Charlotte, property taxes, obviously you're a major city, going to be a little higher.
Yeah.
And depending on where you're moving, you may want to investigate because there are some places that you do move to that the homes itself are out of city limits and they don't have the taxes are obviously affected by that. So
yeah,
that's kind of a thing, but you have to be mindful, you got to do your research. But that, like I said, that's for some folks, that's a bit of a con for some moving over.
You can't escape it. What do they say? Death and taxes are the things you
so
can't avoid.
Can't avoid it.
So, just ask the right questions, ask for what the copy of the tax bill is, where you're moving, and plan that into your budget. Because if you're getting a mortgage, that is included in your monthly payment. So that's something to consider and could possibly be a con depending on where you're coming from.
Yep, and that's why it's so important that, reach out to us because we can kind of give you scenarios where you're coming from and then you guys can kind of see if it's worth it or if it's not. If you say, no, the cons are too, they're up there, we're just going to stay put or look somewhere else.
Yeah, so it's all about asking questions and getting answers. So
con number 2, if you are moving from the West Coast like I did or other states that it's not so forested and so many plants everywhere. Pollen.
Yeah.
Big issue. Pollen is a problem here. I didn't really experience that in Camp Lejeune, but more over here in the Charlotte area by the mountains. A lot more trees of different types, not just pine trees. Your cars get pollen all over the place.
And it kind of depends on time of year. Spring
I would say
is the yellow pollen.
Right around April,
you're
going to get the yellow pollen. It starts to really get all over your property. You got to pressure wash. You got to get it all out of there because it starts to build up, especially if you live by the water or meaning the lake, you got a lakefront property, it starts to come on the side there. It's just so thick, it's yellow. You'll see it in there. It's kind of gross.
Yeah.
Or if it's on your property, if it's raining, it'll clump up in the cracks of the cement. You'll see these yellow clumps of pollen. So that can be an issue. And if you have allergies, that can be a major problem. We know some folks that have major allergy issues that once pollen season hits,
they're all stuffy.
They're stuffy. Yeah. I didn't really experience that the following year. The following year that I've been here full year, I noticed that I would start getting, my face would start to hurt kind of right in this area. And I was like, oh my God, it's this pollen.
Yeah.
It starts really getting to you.
That is one of the negatives that we experience here that maybe you don't have where you're at. Now, having grown up here, I don't feel like it affects me much. I don't know if I've had a less of a sensitivity to it. I think it just depends on your tolerance and your allergies. So it's truly more of a personal health decision. Spring is more of the yellow pollen. Then in the summer, you've got grass allergies if somebody's allergic to grass. And then fall, it's called ragweed. That's what a lot of people will say they're, start having allergies
Yeah,
to.
I haven't really noticed the fall, but my eyes have been like kind of twitching this year. Or like I don't know, it's the fall, I guess. If you don't like to pressure wash, if you don't like to clean the outside, it's a lot of work for some, depending on where your house
But
is
it's a brief
located.
period of time. Don't you feel like it's like there'll be like 1 or 2 weeks in the spring where it feels like there's a yellow haze on stuff,
Yeah,
and you blow it off?
You blow it off, but there's some that stick and remain. You got to wash it off. And I noticed that if you just let it sit for the year, the following year you'll notice that your cement starts to get black, and then you got to pressure wash it off because
Yeah.
that's the pollen that's stuck on there and it turns black. And then the last point is we were talking about humidity. Coming from a dry climate, coming to this out to North Carolina, humidity is different on the coast than it is where we're at. It's humid here by the mountains, but not as bad as by the coast. The coast you're gonna feel it. It feels like you just take a shower, you walk outside, you're already starting to sweat. Here by the mountains, you're gonna get the humidity down here, but the counter to that, go up the mountain, it's gonna be 10 degrees cooler. Might have a little bit of humidity, but it's gonna cool down a bit.
Yeah. So the very things that people love about North Carolina, it's a double-edged sword in that, yes, everything's green, everything's lush, there's flowers, and the flowers make pollen. It's necessary as part of the environment. So same for the humidity. People love that you have nice hot summers here, and we have the beach. Well, moisture creates humidity, and that's part of what is in our environment here. So, it depends on what you're used to. Again, sometimes context is everything, and if you're coming from a climate where you have far worse humidity. If you're coming from Florida, you're going to come here and say, what humidity?
Yeah.
And if you're coming from California, you're going to say, oh, it's so humid here. So it all depends on what you're used to, but it's something to point out because, again, there's going to be people that come here that are not used to those things. So we wanted to include it in our video because you may not experience any pollen there, and where you're coming from, you may be somebody who has severe allergies. And you might want to visit here in the spring before you literally move your whole life out here because you might be battling allergies.
That can be a big detriment for anybody that deals with allergies. This might not be the place to move.
So everybody responds differently to it. I really can't tell a big difference, but I know there's some people that it does make a big difference. So it's something to be aware of, especially if you have asthma or allergies, or you think that your skin's particularly sensitive to different humidity levels or whatever. It made the list of cons because it may be different than what you're used to, and you might not like it.
Yeah, and comment below. If you've been out here and you've experienced allergy season or the humidity, let us know in the comments what you think about these 2 cons. Can you deal with it? Because it's something that you can say, you know what, it's tolerable.
Not worth it. You're like, oh,
let us know in the comments.
Yeah, so comment below. All right, so number 3 on our list, this might be a pro for you, but this may be a con for you. Pace of life. It is a little slower paced here, and depending on where you land in North Carolina can make all the difference here.
Sure.
Because I think it's important to notate that, this channel is about North Carolina, but what a broad spectrum that is, because when we're talking about pace of life and we're talking about things to do, and if there's a nightlife, and if you can grab a lift somewhere, or, if restaurants close early on Mondays and things like that, it's going to depend on where you're at. Because if you are looking for that type of lifestyle where you have active nightlife, there's a big social scene, you can go out and just, have a good time, get a ride home, be mindful of where you end up because certain cities will accommodate that. Charlotte's great, Raleigh's good, Asheville's become a very happening scene. So everything's evolved quite a bit with that, and you'll find plenty of that there. If the everyday, slower pace of life is too slow for you, don't move to the rural areas of North Carolina.
Don't do it.
Don't go to, outside of city limits. Whenever people move here, they're usually looking for a slower pace of life. But depending on the stage of life that you're in and what you like to spend your time doing, you may not find that here in all of North Carolina. I've heard it said one time that there's certain small towns in North Carolina that it's really hard to find somebody for dating or hanging out or just meeting new people. So if you're young professionals, single, out there mingling, trying to have a good time,
stay
in the cities.
Stay in the city, young professional, because in the rural, great point, you won't find depending on your career path. I noticed that by Charlotte, you have to be in Charlotte if you want to be close to the tech you know, anywhere. Raleigh for sure.
A lot
Raleigh,
of young
tech
professionals
capital.
that appeals to anyway, just career-wise.
Career-wise, or if you're in business and banking, you stay by Charlotte. But outside of that, 40 miles out, where we're at in Hickory and other surrounding areas all around the Charlotte metro area or Raleigh, unless you're self-employed or you work from home, only way I'd recommend that. But if you're saying, you know what, two things.
If you want to commute to the city.
If you're okay commuting, you can do it. But if not, the type of work you said, no, I'm a person that likes to be close to where I work and I like to be 10 minutes away and like everything around me. Then you're going to look into the staying in the city. But notice that being said, we talked about it earlier, cost of living goes up, prices go up because it has to accommodate your lifestyle.
It's kind of a seesaw, you know, it's like outside of the city, it's a great place to raise a family. It is a little bit slower pace. Price points more accessible. If you want to be in the city, if you're a young working professional, you don't own a car, you just want to be able to walk to work, take a lift, enjoy your nights out, that's going to be a different part of North Carolina. So it's not that our state doesn't provide that. It's just not every bit of it does. And that's probably not unique to our state. I'm sure every state has the same circumstances, but you know, there are areas, and we'll just use our city, for example, City of Hickory, very growing. It's come a long way. There is more to do, places to go eat and all that.
Sure.
Now, it's still not the type of place that you can very quickly and for 100% sure get an Uber or get a Lyft. It's not a place to go club hopping. There's not a lot of like just, you know, blocks of bars and places for like nightlife and hanging out and stuff like that. Sometimes on Mondays, there are places that are closed. That's or on Sundays.
Monday, so that's always the thing. Yeah. She asked me, let's go get some meat. Oh, it's Monday.
Some places aren't open for some reason.
And then Sunday, some places are also closed. If you're looking to buy a car, some car dealerships are closed. Yeah. Coming from California, Saturday, Sunday, you're shopping. Yeah. So you're going to have to get used to that adjustment with businesses. Not all of them, but majority of them do. Yeah. Because Sundays they don't work and then Monday they're closed.
Yeah. And I think that's why a lot of people do retire to North Carolina, because there's a phase of life that you may want that and you may have spent years in a big city and you're just over it now. And you're like, you know what? I still like to go out to eat, do things, hang out, but that's just not my vibe anymore. I want to be able to kind of kick back, relax a little bit. And so pace of life, it is peaceful. Again, just kind of reiterating, it's not that it's not in our state, it's just only in certain areas. So just stick to the cities if you're looking for that, because you're not going to find it everywhere. Right? So had to make the con list.
All right, so our next point is let's talk about the weather. This weather here, in my opinion, is bipolar. Bipolar, fit from thick and thin. I tell you, I come out here and...
That's an extreme word.
No, it's not an extreme word, because you come out here and it's summertime. And this is where I really see this. Summertime, you're out enjoying. Some people go to the beach. Some people go to the lake. They go, you take your kids, you're hanging out. And I imagine that. You're sitting there, and the next thing you know, you look up in the sky, and then it starts to get dark. Because the Atlantic just produces, and it just comes in and blows in from the mountains, or wherever it comes from. Then you got a lightning storm, and you got to get out. You're having fun. You're having a barbecue. You're outside. That's the whole point of summer. I tell her that. And then you got to stop, cease and assist everything you're doing, get out of the water because there's a lightning storm. Then you don't want to go back, because then after all of that dump of rain, it gets super humid again. And then it just it can be 30 minutes, it can be 15 minutes, it can be an hour, whatever it is. And it's like basically it just kind of interrupts your day. So, you know, especially if you're a family that has family barbecue, you're out and then you got to stop because of lightning. So to me, I'll start off with that. My biggest, just absolutely annoying.
Yeah, he complains a lot when it rains.
Because I go, it's supposed to feel like summer. I don't care if it rains in the winter. I don't care if it rains in the spring. It's supposed to. But in the summer where I'm California, it doesn't rain and you're used to like, okay, kids are out of school, they go have fun. It all, you know, it's a party pooper. Yeah. That storm really crushed me.
For the same guy that loves how green everything is, it does require rain.
Hence what I said, springtime, let it rain.
But so I guess, and again, it depends on what you're used to, because the times that we've traveled to Orlando, for example, take the kids to Disney World.
Same thing.
Comment below if you live in Florida.
Same thing.
It dumps rain every afternoon, and it's like clockwork. So
and they close the rides. You're in the water park, which we were at a water park.
Bring a poncho.
We had to kick rocks, pound sand out of the water park, and then that's it.
So it's not unique to our state, but it's a trait that we have here in North Carolina that we do see a pattern of in the summertime. It seems like the afternoons, and I'm not a meteorologist.
I know, I was
but
about to
it
say
would-
that. I was
it
like,
would-
we're not meteorologists, but that
but
was
it
makes
would
the
make sense that the humidity,
because the Atlantic's hotter than the Pacific for
yeah,
sure. If
it's
you go to the
warmer
beach,
water on
it's
this
warmer.
side. You feel the humidity in the air, and eventually, I guess that just condenses and then comes
Just
down.
dumps
you know?
on you. Not
Now-
just rains, it dumps in the summer.
Sometimes, yeah.
You have to be careful though. This is serious, and you know this. The wipers won't keep up, and it's thick rain, and so sometimes you may just have to pull over on the
I've had
highway.
a few times I just pull
You
over.
can't see.
Yeah.
You won't be able to see.
So I think the humidity creates that, and then the clouds get heavy, it storms, and then it's over. This is my addition to this topic because talking about the rain and things that we don't like about the weather. I find that it's after the rain, to me, that's kind of miserable because it's so hot.
Yeah.
Like you feel like a little lobster in a pot, and like the concrete's like...
Yep. Yep.
So,
And then
you know, sometimes the rain's kind of like a refreshing, like, okay, good. You know, it cools everything down a little bit. But then when it's really hot, like in Florida, I felt like I couldn't get dry because we were just walking and walking in a theme park and we're all wet. So
I would on purpose go under the water rides to get soaked.
So-
On purpose.
So we get a little taste of that in North Carolina. So while one of the big pros is the 4 seasons and the dynamic, you know, weather and sights and views and things to do, again, double-edged sword of that. No rain, no flowers. So you have to be able to take the good with the bad. And part of the bad is that it does rain here sometimes in the summer. If you like consistent, even climate all the time, no changes, North Carolina is not for you because we do have winter, we have fall, we have spring, we have summer, and you can feel a difference. When he says bipolar, to me, it makes it sound far extreme, like sub-zero and like 120 degrees. Not quite.
No.
But-
I'll stop her
Yeah,
right there.
It's not so extreme.
I will stop her right there. There are times, and goes back to that. It'll be a nice day, or it'll be super cold, and all of a sudden it heats up out of nowhere. The weather's unpredictable. The forecast tells you one thing, and something completely different happens on that day.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be.
It does do that, and that's what I meant by the
We wear
extreme.
layers. You take a layer off.
I've seen.
Wear a cardigan because you don't know. Later in the mornings it'll be cool, and then in the afternoon it's going to be hot again.
Yeah.
And then in the fall, this happens. We call it false fall. It's where all of us get all excited because it's October now. We're like, oh boy, we can wear boots and scarves and pumpkin spice lattes, and it's still 80 degrees, and so you're sweating.
Yeah. No, actually, this happened.
Wishing fall would arrive.
This happened a couple weeks ago.
Snow.
There was snow.
We've never had snowflakes in October,
It dropped.
but it did a few
Was it
little
November?
snowflakes. Yeah.
Okay, the beginning of November.
At 2025, a little bit of snowflakes.
It dropped.
in
There was a
November.
little snow that came down in
Yeah.
the Charlotte metro area. It came out over here. I said, this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I mean by bipolar. We expected winter snow flakes in late
November, yeah.
October, early
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
So it happens.
Yeah. So
So-
you just never know. You just really never know. So it's just something to be aware of because if that turns you off majorly and you're like, ugh, I can't deal with it, maybe it's not for you. Like come check it out in different times of year, get a feel for what our summers feel like.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
Come in different times of the year if you're going to explore.
See how it feels for you because what your context is directly related to what your experience is. And so having been born and raised here, that's why it's so valuable, like on this channel, to have the perspective of somebody who didn't grow up here. Because if you're watching this video, you probably didn't grow up here either. And so we love getting like comments and hearing from you guys of like, when you visited here, what was it like? What did it feel like?
Let
What
us
did
know.
you like or
Please
not like?
let us know.
Because this was our list of cons. And so weather made the list because it is a frequent point of
And
discussion
there's
in our
some
marriage.
there's some of you guys out there that is much different experience, and then you
Yeah.
like it. You know, might think that I'm out of. You know, you're crazy. We like the storm. I mean, let us know because everybody's different.
And so one of the cons on our list is that it is as a melting pot, as cities do. They evolve, they change.
Yes.
And again, depending on where you land in North Carolina, if you want a small town vibe, you need to end up in a small town. Not all of North Carolina is a small town vibe. And so there's a lot of you that maybe you visited here in the past and Asheville felt like a mountain town.
Asheville has developed.
It's
and has
not
come-
now. Yeah.
It's much different now.
Yeah, it's very artsy and eclectic and real hot spot for tourism.
Yep.
Very expensive. So big Airbnb presence. So just to put in context for you guys, just how things may be different than the last time you came out. And for some people, that's a con because what you experienced during the time before people started moving here maybe felt a little more like that small town charm. And there's plenty of that still here, but it's not statewide.
So where we're at in Hickory, North Carolina, if you look it up, it's growing.
Yeah.
Not just Hickory, other rural places and towns out in by Charlotte, by Raleigh.
Housing has to meet the demand, and so
if people are priced out, they're just gonna move to the next spot. And there's a lot of new construction, and so some people, they don't like it because we've known people here that have lived here for a long time go, it's getting to become too big for us. And it's really not that big, but it's becoming too big for them, and they're gonna leave. And they want to go somewhere else because some people just like not having such growth. And you can't stop progress because some places start appealing to folks and that want to move to certain parts of the state or any other state for that matter. Not just here.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like growth brings progress and opportunity, and it brings amenities and restaurants and good health care. And so there's many benefits to growth. You know, the other side of that is the roads getting a little more crowded.
If you don't like people.
Yeah, if you're somebody
you veterans out there that don't want to be around anybody and they want to live away from everyone.
Just be mindful of where you end up because Charlotte, Raleigh, I mean, there's some big metropolitan areas now that is not going to feel like that small town.
And it attracts more people from other states now, and it starts to get crowded.
Yeah.
And some folks don't like that.
Yeah, I actually saw a video a while back about the North Carolina dialect. It says that North Carolinians' Southern accent is kind of like a sweet, soft Southern accent. It's not real twangy. It's not, you can kind of tell different accents from different areas. But they were saying that being able to identify that in living and being in North Carolina, you don't hear it as much anymore because that distinct accent has become so blended in with all the other influences because it is such a melting pot. And we do have so many people from other areas coming in that, what is the identity of a state? Like, what is the accent? Because it's just a big blend of everybody all coming together, which is a double-edged sword. So we love all the growth and the progress and all the good things it adds. But if what you're looking for is like distinctly small town North Carolina, it's getting harder to find because more people are finding us.
Yeah.
And it's creating more of that melting pot, which might be a big pro for you. It might be a con. And so that's why we wanted to bring that up because there are growing pains associated with progress and there's a lot of locals that have felt it. That's why we wanted to end with this one because that's a big driver of people moving here is quality of life. And if quality of life for you is defined as slower pace, small town, just like the good old days, over time as things grow and progress, you lose a little bit of that. So sometimes growth can bring its challenges, and that's some of what we've seen in different parts of North Carolina. So those are the real cons of living in North Carolina, the ones people don't always talk about. None of these are deal breakers for most people, but knowing them ahead of time helps you choose the right community, the right pace, and the right overall lifestyle fit. So if you're thinking of moving here, or if you already live here and you're looking for a different part of the state, we're here to help you every step of the way. So call or text anytime, 704-234-7449. And go ahead and watch one of the videos you see on your screen, and we'll see you in the next one.